I'm Eric Russell. I'm out the Henley Street Theater production company of Yellowman. How are y'all doing tonight?
Great.
This is a powerful, powerful show. It's poetry. The words paint a visual texture with such phrases like there's a Jack Daniels and Chanel No. 5, and just I could smell, I could taste it as y'all were talking. It's just pure poetry. So I want you to introduce who you are and how you're involved with this production. So.
My name is J. Paul Nicholas, and I'm the director.
I'm Patricia Ali, and I play Amma.
My name is Keelan Darrell Jones, and I play Eugene.
And a very powerful piece. And I'm going to read something you put in the notes, which I read, and I'm going, it moved me. If an artist is lucky, maybe once in their career, they will get an opportunity to work on a piece of art that is so unique and so unforgettable that it will impact their lives and affect their work forever. For a theater artist and a theater patron, Yellowman is just such a piece. Early in your career, you had the pleasure of being Eugene. Give me a little bit more about coming back to this as a director.
Wow, it's been eye-opening, surprisingly so. I came in thinking that I would remember a lot of it, but I've found so much new stuff. And the way Keelan is playing Eugene, much better than I did. And finding all these little nuances that I didn't know was there, it's like a brand new experience. And it speaks to something that I've said about this play for 10 years, or 7 years. And that is that there's so much there. There's so many layers there. As late as today, they asked me a question about, what if this line was this? And I said, wow, I never thought of that. I never thought that's what it might mean. There's the way she writes, as you said, it's very poetic, but it's very layered. Yeah. It's very deep. It's very rich, and there's so much stuff going on with all these characters that it's been like a whole new experience for me. I mean, I could work on this play for the rest of my life and never get tired of it.
Because you guys know the play yourselves. You portray your characters' parents, friends, grandparents, and you shift between language and style in terms of the prose and the way you deliver it. It gives layers. And I was going, this is like a whole tapestry. It's like of culture and people.
Yes.
There were phrases that I had no clue what it meant. Gitchi Gullah. Can someone explain Gitchi Gullah to me?
Well, Geechee Gullah, it's a culture in the southern part of our country that was heavily impacted from the West African slave and the slave trade thereof. And Geechee is the people and Gullah is the language, or vice versa. I can't remember from my research.
I think it's vice versa. Gullah is the people, the culture, and Geechee is the accent.
It's more the dialect.
Or the dialect.
Yeah.
So it's almost like stereotypical, very southern, we see in movies, oh, have mercy and all of that.
Actually,
it's even more than that.
Yeah.
It's almost West Indian, like pidgin English. I have a friend who's from Sierra Leone. He speaks English Creole. Pidgin English, they call it, and it sounds a lot like Gullah and Geechee.
So the history of it, the ancestry of it, the antecedent of it, is very similar to where the West Indians got their language.
Yes.
So that's why it kind of sounds like that. There are words that are almost identical.
Okay. As the show goes on, your character makes this huge shift in who she is.
Yeah.
And I know some of my notes I was going to dark equals ugly. Black, ugly, big. You know, that's got to be really powerful, especially for a young person to hear. And for Alma, she seems to carry that even when she's left and gone to New York.
Yes.
Her view of herself hasn't changed, or
Right.
doesn't seem to.
Right.
Or it seems she comes back to it.
She tries to change it.
Yeah.
She does try to change it. I mean, and as a young black girl coming up myself, I mean, I heard of these things. I myself, and I said this before, didn't experience it within my own family. My mother and father didn't put that upon me. I didn't feel that kind of prejudice within, my own family, but I did hear other children talking that way and experiencing that kind of pain. And it does affect, children are very impressionable, so, if they're being told these things, you carry it around for a lifetime, and you struggle all your life trying to shake those kinds of things, and it's just a lot of pain she carried with her.
Both characters are hated by one or both of their parents for being who they are. Your character's father just hates you because you're yellow, you're fair-skinned, Yellowman. Can someone explain more about what Yellowman is, what that term really...
Well, it's something that transcends the 60s culture where Eugene and Alma grew up, and the South. I grew up in the South North, in Baltimore area, which is, depending on where you live, is considered the South or the North. But yellow, red, mulatto, red bone, and a plethora of other things is just something that I've heard all my life because I am a fair-skinned black man. And the prejudice, I've heard it called colorism or intra-racism, many things. But it's basically, again, from slave times, to sound cliche, the lighter-skinned slaves had more privileges than the darker-skinned slaves. So that caused contentions within the black community. And that transcended, even to today. A lot of people feel like lighter-skinned black people get treated better, or darker-skinned black people are not as pretty, or whatever the case may be.
No, that's where it comes from. Yellowman is not a term I've heard. I think it's a term that Dale coined because the term yellow is used a lot.
Right.
But as Keelan said, even today, you don't hear it much, but I have heard people say things like about our president. I've heard black people say, well, is he black enough? And I've heard black people say, well, he's accepted because he's not that black. Like he's enough white. So that sort of idiocy still exists.
Yes.
It's just pure ignorance.
It reminds me, last week's Newsweek, they had an article, gay president, the whole, and there was a piece in there that stood out that he was raised by his white grandparents and his white mother, and that he had to rediscover his blackness. And one of the quotes was his skin felt hot when he read an article in Life magazine about African Americans bleaching their skins to feel like, to be white, to be pretty. But that whole phrase in that article, like he had to rediscover his blackness because his grandparents are white or his mother was white, just to me seemed unfair.
But very real. Very real in the black community.
A lot of what it is, it's funny because I know a lot of white people who live in the South and constantly tan because they want the skin darker. People go to tanning booths and pay lots of money to spray tans on because some people want to be darker, but not too dark. And black people darker skinned people want to be lighter, so they bleach their skin to stay out of the sun. Don't go in that sun, you don't want to get black. I've heard people say, not to me obviously, but I've heard people say that. But it's just our culture today. It's just like thinner means, well, for a while anyway, thinner meant prettier. You know what I mean? Right. But back in the Renaissance time, the high foreheads and the pale skin was something that was beautiful.
This is not just exclusive of the black race. Of course, people in India, it's just they want to be lighter skinned, and it's that class thing, So it's not just in the black race that we have this issue.
Because you're dating outside your faith. You're with
exactly.
You're outside your neighborhood.
Yes.
You should be dating a good Catholic girl.
Exactly.
Every demographic, even if it's not a color thing, they have something.
Yes.
Yeah, to differentiate or to delineate who is better than who. It's really ridiculous, but
it is.
It exists.
It boggles the mind because at the end of the day, people are just people. Your character makes it comment like your mother seemed uppity because they asked questions. And your character's father went off and he was criticized because he went and learned from books.
Like the white man.
Like the white man. And there seems to be like a conflict between just being educated equals not being black enough.
Right. And that again stems from slavery. I think. A lot of, it was being looked, and I even heard it coming up a little bit, and I'm from New York, I'm from the North. Some of the black kids would say, you talk white, or, you're studying too much, or this and that. And it's just, I didn't understand that. Again, I wasn't raised that way, but there were children who believed that. You know, if you enunciated your words, if you spoke clearly and you didn't speak slang, you were trying to be white. You know, so
weren't cool.
You weren't. Yeah, wasn't
cool,
cool.
you weren't.
Yeah. So
To refer to Mr. Obama again, he made that comment in his 2008, that big speech that launched him into the public eye. He said something like that. You know that. Anyway, he mentioned that he liked to study and didn't mean that he wasn't
cooler. Yeah, there's some great cultural references like that crossed over. Going, their characters were watching the monkeys, and I remember watching the monkeys, and then you guys talk about, do you want to play Batman? I was like, yes, Batman. In the '60s, you had the cool, you know, pow, zip, bop. But I'm as upset she doesn't be Catwoman. I kept thinking, Eartha Kitt was fantastic. Catwoman. Why would you not want to be Catwoman? But growing up, I know I'm a big comic book geek, and I loved Batman and Superman. But I went, why are all the black characters start with Black Panther, Black Vulcan, Black Lightning? I'm going, okay, we get it. But why did they wear over-stylized, you know, funky clothes and things? It was black this, black that. Did you have a favorite, a favorite superhero growing up that wasn't black or was black? Or because I know they've tried. No?
I was always into Marvel, anything Marvel.
Okay.
And then a lot of people don't realize, but Blade was one of the first Marvel comics
Right.
ever created on film. I mean,
Yeah.
on film, and it was before Marvel, before this
Right.
superhero
Really took off, yeah.
took off. So I was always a fan of anything Marvel, really, but Blade was always pretty badass to me.
Mighty Mouse? I don't know. I don't even have any favorite, you know.
Well, 'cause it's interesting, like, culturally, like, even Marvel's now, they relaunched Spider-Man in one of their storylines as a young African-American kid. But
Really?
They did. They killed off Peter Parker in their Ultimate line, and now it's just this African-American kid, and I wish I'd followed it closer, but I was going, but we've never really known, he wears a full bodysuit, how do we know whether he's black, he's white, Hispanic? Just the character itself just seemed, just for the everyman, the every kid, the whatever, does the character's color really make who they are? You know, does he need to be light-skinned, dark-skinned, does it really matter?
But it doesn't, and it shouldn't. But
it does.
you know, when Spider-Man was invented, we were living in a time where good meant white,
Yeah.
and black meant bad. It was incorrect, but that was the culture back then. So it was assumed that if you're a good guy, you wore a white hat and you were white.
Right. And you guys touched on that again in the show, you know, black is bad, white is good, because when you're talking about bourbon, I think of bourbon as dark, powerful.
Wow, and I never thought of that. You just discovered something new. I'd never thought of that.
But then champagne and white wine.
Yes.
This
wow.
very,
I did think of the white
and then
wine.
gin.
Yes.
Gin is one of those pure things also, but seems to cause some anger. So I just kept thinking, playing with the colors of the liquors that's being drank. You know, beer is, he only drinks beer maybe once or twice, but it's an amber-colored, not quite dark beverage. So I just kind of pulled that going, that's just...
I've never even thought of
That's
that.
cool. That's really
But that's the depth of Dale's writing, I think.
I understand why this was a Pulitzer Prize nominated piece. It's just phenomenal, and even the textures and words that y'all use. When you talk about George O'Keeffe's painting, you can almost taste the paint. You can.
And that is not only a testament to the writing, but a testament to the acting.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I said that this is such it's a dream role for an actor is that it is so demanding. That sounds counterintuitive. You might think that an actor is scared to do it because it's so demanding, but if you love what you do, you relish an opportunity like this. It is such a demanding thing to portray because you have to play all these characters and you have to be true to the language and you have to observe the poetry and the musicality of the language. And you got to memorize all the lines. You can't paraphrase.
No,
because of how she wrote it.
Yeah.
It's very rhythmic, and he always, even in rehearsal, he talks about the musicality of not only each scene. There's 5 parts, each part, but each scene within the parts, and each line that she writes, each word that she writes. You know, the way she writes, she'll use a slash or a dash instead of a comma, or sometimes she'll go 3 or 4 lines without any punctuation.
So within the actual script itself, there are
natural
breaks.
Yes.
Yeah, and unnatural breaks. And then she'll use words, and you'll read it, and you'll go, but that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But when you play it, and the word affects you here, you understand why she wrote it.
Yeah, I was pulled in. I mean, I felt Alma's need to be beautiful, but Eugene's need. He wants to be loved for who he is, not because of how he looks. His grandfather loves him because he looks like his grandfather.
Yeah.
But his mother resents that, and his father resents that, and his friends resent that.
Well, one of his friends doesn't.
Well, one of his friends doesn't, but his friends of his parents' friends resent that. What do you want audiences at the end of the show to walk away with?
Tears.
I think it's an opportunity for some healing to take place. Interestingly enough, recently I was on Facebook, and a fellow friend, actor friend of mine, she wrote something on there about the pain she grew up with this very issue. Beautiful dark-skinned woman. And she talked about how in her own family people made fun of her for the color, the shade of her skin. And I just ranted. I just wrote this whole thing about how, just to be proud of who she was and, not to let it affect her, because again, it just hurt me so much to hear that. And I raised my children to be proud of who they are. And, always, personally, I just felt that they needed to have dolls that looked like them, lots of brown crayons, because of everything out there. Really wanted to instill them within them a sense of pride in who they are, and also respecting others too, and seeing everybody for who they are and respecting them for who they are. But I want people like that to come out and see this, so some of this healing can take place within the Black community, and also for other people to understand this pain that's been going on in our culture, but also that other people can relate to it for different reasons.
Yeah, that's one thing. The universality of it, like you said, religions or classism or whatever. Granted, Dale's a big, strong Black woman, so she wrote about what she knew, but it's a universal story, and at the core, it's a love story. Yeah. But like you and Paul said, it's just so layered with so many issues that we can all relate to, regardless of the demographic. And like she said, I have a very supportive family. The lightest one in my family, but I have a very supportive family. But I did get made fun of from family members and friends. No, not hated by any stretch, because they never let me forget I was Black. Never. I came out of the house wearing, we used to use baby powder. You remember baby powder days? So I took a shower and I put baby powder all over me. I licked my finger, put holes in it, and I ran out of the house and said, "I'm white cheese." But my uncle only heard me say, "I'm white." And he cursed me out and he said, "You're Black, and don't you ever forget it." So they never let me forget I was Black, but they made fun of me for being so light. And white boy and all of this. But I think clarity. I want everyone to walk away with clarity. Not only to understand how things you say could offend someone, but also to understand that we go through some of the things that you guys go through. Yeah. Whoever the we and you is.
Well, and not only healing, but I would like people to walk away with some understanding of how you can damage a child.
Yes.
This play it has a lot of dualities in it, and one of the strongest ones is between parents and children. Yeah. And you have to understand how you can damage a child. Even if you are telling a child, "Oh, you are good. You're better than so-and-so because you're this." Even that can be damaging, because you can grow up with a certain amount of resentment or
plant that seed.
Yeah. And I don't want to be better than my friends. I want to identify with my friends. My grandmother would send me to school, and she would put Brill cream in my hair to get my hair to be soft and to lay down, and she would tell me stay out of the sun and all that stuff. And I would have an Afro pick in my bag, on my way to school, trying to pick it up because I wanted to identify with my Black friends, and that was damaging. Even though she was telling me how pretty I was and how beautiful my hair was. So I want people to understand that there are many different ways to damage a child. And if you start to teach a child to compare and to think one thing is better than another thing, no matter which side you're on, that's not a wise move for parenting.
This has just been powerful and moving, people need to see the show.
I think so.
People, you need to see the show.
Come on out.
It is, if nothing else, it is unique.
Yes.
I have never seen any other piece of theater like this.
No.
It is unique. Two things for sure. It is unique, and it is provocative.
And entertaining.
Yes,
yeah.
entertaining.
It'll get you to want to discuss it.
Yeah,
yes,
just even tonight, I want to talk about this. I want to ask about. It's been, and to share this with you, one as an audience person, was just brilliant. I was pulled in, and I was like, wow. You know, wow moments sometimes hit us when we're not expecting them. You know, I learned something today. So I thank you for that.
We
Just
thank you.
Wonderful
Thank you.
weekend. So, if you want tickets, it's www.henleystreettheater.org. Yellowman runs May 24th through June 16th. You must see the show. It is absolutely brilliant and powerful. And if you miss it, you're missing out on something fantastic.
Richmond premiere.
Brisbane premiere. There we go. We like premiering things for the first time here. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you very much
Thank
for being
you.
here tonight.
Pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you for being here
Thank
tonight.
you, Eric.
My pleasure. I'm Eric Russell, and I am out and about at the Henley Street premiere of The Yellowman. You never know when I'll turn up next, so tune in next time, and I'll see you.